Hello and welcome to my channel, Emma's Life in Norfolk. So this is my channel where I talk about my life in Norfolk and what I get up to, sometimes outside of Norfolk, and also where I post videos about my garden. So thank you very much for being here. Things have been busy over the course of the last sort of few weeks, but I start my video with a clip of what my garden herb area looked like before I started to make changes. So I'm just going to leave you to watch that for a few minutes, and then I will come back and talk about what I'm doing. So I just wanted to show you the herb area before I started, and I'd also did a little pan around the garden so you can see how different changes have kind of been made in the garden and where things are. You will have seen the area that I still need to seed, so I put some grass seed down in this video, and you'll also see the bed which I cleared in my last video to really kind of make some improvements and clear out some plants which were just literally taking over the entire flower bed. So in this area there's a couple of things that were really my priority. So there were some weeds taking over, so I'd got some milk thistle, my borage, which I do like, but that had spread quite a lot, and there are some plants which, because of where they're positioned next to the ash tree, they don't get much rain on them when we do have rain. So that meant they were in a bit of a bad way, so I wanted to move things around. So it was interesting how some plants really thrive in the same area that the other plants just really aren't happy. So the bay tree has gone from strength to strength, but some other plants nearby just aren't so happy there. Perhaps it's due to the size of the pot. Smaller pots can't obviously withhold any amount of water. You'll see my husband go past a few times. That's because he's planted peppers and tomatoes, and he potted those up. So he was taking them down into the working part of our garden. So I've spoke before how I see my garden in different sections. So I've got like the middle section, the first section which I tried to be a bit more formal with and make the grass nice, the herb section, my bed, the area that I sit in with my bench. And that's how I break my garden down, and I know some of you do the same thing. So that then means that when I plan to work on a part of the garden, I think I'm going to focus on this area. A little bit like when those of you that follow my other channel, when you see what I'm doing in the house, I focus on the lounge or focus on the dining room table, for example. So some of my plants I've lost, unfortunately, so I was going through and just checking what has survived, what has just turned into weeds, and you can see like some of the plants have gone crazy, like the sage. My sage plant has got really big. I should have cut that back earlier in the year, but now it's about to flower, so I don't want to cut it back. You can also see how the grass has gone warm through, so I do put some grass seed down, although 10 days later none of the grass seed has come up, so I'm wondering whether it's slightly old seed. So I always think what's hard when the seasons change is February and March, the garden's quite quiet, and then suddenly everything springs into life at the same time. So I should have cut back that sage and moved that round, but I just blinked and it's massive and it's covered in flowers. So I do turn that round, but I'm going to cut that back at the end of the season. And then you'll see me putting my patch magic down. Now, patch magic is quite expensive. I really like it, but I actually asked for it for my birthday last year, and it doesn't seem to have worked. So I wonder if, unfortunately, the seed is too old. I hadn't really thought about that. I thought that would be fine. But I like using that, and then I water it all because we've not had any rainfall for ages. You can see there's some parts around that patch which got scorched from my fire, but other parts which look are going brown, and that's because we just haven't had enough rainfall, which this early on in the year is a bit of a concern, really. As I've said before, Norfolk gets the lowest rainfall in the country, and you do notice it when you go to other parts of the country, but we do normally have more rain at this time of the year. But we've had some really sunny days and no rain. You can also see my bench there, so I'm going to paint my bench probably a deep blue, I think, a gloss, but I need to put those little metal feet on the bottom, and I can't find any at the moment. I did think about putting them on my little coasters, but I need to have some proper protection because unfortunately the feet have started to rot, so I don't want to put that back in the soil until I've got some sort of small metal feet that will be useful for protecting the bench. So you can see that I'm moving around lots of the pots. Some of my favourite pots here that have got plants on which have kind of finished, so I repotted those, and I feel like I make quite good progress. So it makes a really big difference just tidying up this area, getting rid of all the pots which have got plants in that aren't doing their best. I also changed the passiflora where it was sort of climbing up the fence and the little items that I have on the fence panels. And then, yeah, I moved some of the pots to the working part of my garden, so I moved lots of things round. So while you're watching that, I'm going to go through some of your comments. Now, thank you very much to those of you that add comments on my channel. I really enjoy reading the comments, and I've now got 728 followers. So thank you very, very much for following my channel. I really appreciate it. What I'd really love to know is where you're all from. Are you from England? Are you from America? Australia? I know some of you follow me on my other channel, so I know where some of you are from. But I'm going to read through some of them now. So Dawn Duke says, "My goodness, Emma, you have done a lot in the garden today. You'll be able to add a before and an after when it's all flowering. I love the longer video. You've inspired me again to get outside and put more seeds in. The garden bed looks amazing." Thank you very much, Dawn. Please let me know what you're growing, if you're growing anything. Jenny Allen says, "Hi Emma, just bumped into your channel. You're inspiring me to crack on with my garden. Thank you for sharing. I've subscribed and given a thumbs up. Happily following from the United Kingdom." Oh, thank you very much, Jenny. Whereabouts in England are you from? Whereabouts in the United Kingdom? And Natalie Elliott says, "Great job, Emma. That was a lot of hard work and it shows." Natalie, thank you very much. Susie Spearing says, "Looking much better, Emma. As you say, you can actually see and appreciate each plant." Choco said, "You definitely did a good job. Well done, Emma." Stacey has commented, "Everything is looking fabulous and fantastic. I love the garden. So fairy tale looking. Just very nice." Stacey from Virginia. Thank you ever so much, Stacey. Sandy says, "As long as you are happy with your garden, that is all that matters. It doesn't matter about anyone else's opinion. You really have done a lot today. Really looking good, pretty in green, and all shades of green." Thank you very much. Barbara Palmore has commented, saying, "Beautiful job on your garden beds. You can see all the plants and they're lovely with the shades of green. Well, you'll be pleased to know that the lupins that I growed last year are flowering. My mum got me russet red and also some yellow. The yellow haven't flowered yet, but the reds have come up beautiful. Really, really pleased." Nan Holmes has done a little flag and some hearts. Thank you, Nan. Tracy Force is looking beautiful. Great job. My Rusty Garden says, "The border looks fab, Emma, and a huge change. I hope you have a lovely weekend and didn't eat too much chocolate." I try. That's from Ali in Canada. Rose Morneau says, "Hello, Emma. I love your garden. They look so good. I love both your channels. Your gardening skills are not that bad. Keep up the good work because I'm learning. Thank you, Rose. And Angela Works says, fantastic job, Emma. I could just imagine a teepee on the fire patch area for your daughter to read in the summer. Looks nice and private and gets some more vitamin D at the same time. It's really funny you should say that, Angela, because that is exactly where she's had dens, and the teepee that I sewed her, which we were going to get rid of, and then slowly that ended up coming back into her bedroom. So we have still got that at the moment, and she has brought it outside before. Put like a big rug outside and then put that on the top, which made me think, that might be nice for her while she's doing her revision for her exams, but obviously we can't do it at the moment because I'm waiting for the grass to come back in. Now Claire Dubois has commented, and Claire Dubois says, well done, Emma, for all your hard work. The bed is going to look gorgeous when the plants are flowering. I have a couple of questions. Have you tried putting some sand in the bottom of the flower pot trays to deter slugs and snails? What is it that makes you dislike planting out the beautiful plants you have grown? I apologise if you have already answered this in a previous video. I loved the longer video and could easily watch all day as you have such a lovely garden, Emma. Thank you ever so much, Claire, for your comments. I haven't tried the sand technique, which thank you for the tip. I will try that because I keep going into the greenhouse daily. Because slugs and snails love my lupins, I still keep finding lots in there. I found a couple of big snails because one of them had eaten the top of one of my lupins that was flowering, which is a bit disappointing. Claire replied and said, I meant to add, so you don't end up very frustrated like I was, make sure the pots and all leaves are away from the edge of the tray. I really hope this works for you as you put so much love into growing your seeds. Thank you very much for the tip. So where I've got like a tray and I stand that tray in another tray, under that tray I need to put sand in that. Is that what you mean? And that will stop the snails from going under there. Just a little tip for all of you that deal with slugs and snails. As you know, I don't put any chemicals in my garden at all, so nothing. I like the slugs because the slugs encourage the hedgehogs. I just don't want the slugs on my plants. So yeah, I don't use any sort of chemicals in my garden. But I just don't want all the slugs in the greenhouse. That's the problem. Now, in terms of why I don't like planting things up, I don't know. I like buying plants from garden centres. I absolutely love growing plants, almost obsessively. Certain plants I grow over and over and over again. Just after I've grown them, I just don't find it very enjoyable to plant them out. So I can't really explain that very well, I'm afraid. So in the video at the moment, you can see some things that I've been decluttering absolutely ages ago. I still need to either find a space for them in the bin, or I need to give away some of the pots, and the herb container I possibly might be able to sell. The reason why all the bits haven't gone in the bin is because I'm still getting rid of all those things from all those bags of the tiles and all the bags of rubbish and all the bags of so the fire surround. So those of you that watched my videos from the house that we've been renovating, I'm still getting rid of all of that. So I don't want to add my bits and pieces from the back garden because the bin will be too heavy and then they won't collect the bin, you see. So that's the reason for that. And then one of the pots I'm going to give my sister. She said that she would like. So my husband got me some more soil, and I'm here on the floor. I'm repotting plants and sort of moving things around. So I'd got some wild garlic that was in the process of flowering, and I wanted to repot that. The soil on the top of one of my artichokes was quite low, so I topped that up. And it's always quite good to top up your pots because it gives the food, when you then water them, that new soil, and preferably soil that's got the feed in, will then sink down into the rest of the pot. So it's only going to be a good thing. And then I move all the pots back, ready to be sort of displayed in my herb area. So I think I probably got rid of about 6 pots which are going to be moved to the working part of the garden because the plants had either died or just finished, got dried out, and I hadn't watered them enough. And then all of the others I've just put in very, very carefully and put neatly, and they're all now looking really nice. The one thing I'm aware of, and I was speaking to my husband about, we've got 3 large ash trees in our garden. They are getting bigger and bigger. Our dear old neighbour, the one who passed away a few years ago, he would be forever saying to us, get rid of them, they're weeds, they're weeds. But we like them for a number of reasons. Firstly, a lot of ash trees have had to be cut down in the United Kingdom because they got a certain disease. At the moment, ours are doing fine. Secondly, they're really good for fuel. So every few years we have the trees cut back, and then we cut up the branches and use them on the fire once they've been seasoned. Thirdly, I think they're really important to trap carbon. So for their trunk and everything, and they are getting quite big. But the pigeons sit in them and peck the leaves, and we see lots of little birds sitting in them, and I think it's important. And I also really, really like it that when it's really hot, it can get quite hot in August where we live, and it just provides a lovely amount of shade so that we've got some sun in the garden and also a decent amount of shade. The thing that we notice is after they've grown again for like another 2 years, literally the trees either side almost start joining in the middle, and then we really do notice, we've probably got a bit too much shade in the garden. So I moved the camera so you can see a slightly different angle, and you can see that I'm just sorting out a few more pots from this side and weeding, and then I'm going to position them all back. What I'm also trying to do, the strip where all the pots were sitting had got a bit wide really. So once I do all this, you'll also see that I put a bit of grass seed down, and also put some grass seed down to sort out the patches. Because it's a common sort of walkway, obviously the grass gets trodden on quite heavily and gets worn. I also put quite a lot of the very old soil, which I know is no good. I just put straight in the brown bin. So the brown bin was very, very heavy when I put it out. But it was collected, which was good. I like getting the brown bin full every fortnight because obviously we pay for it, and we pay quite a lot of money. So if I don't use it up, I don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth. So I spend a little bit of time here sorting this bit out, and then I start watering all the plants, and then you'll see that I talk briefly to the camera. I've not done that recently because I couldn't find my mic, can you believe? The little microphone that my husband bought me, I put it in a safe place, and then I couldn't find out where it was. And then by the time I found it, I think my husband found it, it then needed to be charged, so I wasn't able to use it for quite some time. I also rake this bit here in the walkway. I rake all the soil up so the grass seed has got more chance of growing, although I think the grass seed was a bit too old. So I might have to do that all again. It's like I've talked about before, sometimes you can have real successes in the garden, and other times you have to do things twice. It's a bit like my beans. I planted all those beans and I got one come up out of about 20. My dad thinks that was old seed. I think it was because they were too wet and the seed ended up rotting, and that wasn't quite warm enough. And that's what happens if you put too much water on. So that's what I think happens. But I've done another load of beans and they've all come up really strongly. So sometimes you have great successes, sometimes you don't. So you can see I water all my pots. I really want to give them a real good soaking because where they are with the tree, they're just not getting enough water at the moment. And that really is quite a problem where they are. When I go away next, I want to get some of those containers where you fill them with water and they slowly drip into the pots. Now, if anybody knows any that work well, I'd be very pleased to know, because I've looked and a lot of them only last for like one day, whereas I need them to last for a few days. And I have got several family members that have come round and happy to water the plants, and I've got quite a few water butts for them to use, and also I've got a hose pipe. But when there's about 30 pots, it just feels a bit too much to ask people to come round on a daily basis when it's really, really warm. So next time I'm away will be a few days in June, so that'll probably be okay. But by the time it gets to July and August, it gets really hot and the plants do need to be watered a bit more frequently. My dad, because he's going away to Canada, I've offered to go and water his plants. He's done it many, many times for me, so I'm quite happy to go and help him. So as I just do this voiceover, I'm getting ready to do some more work in the garden. So I've got a couple of new borders that I need to clear out. When I say new, what I mean is I need to just sort them out and make them into something which is much better than what they are, because I've got that same situation of where everything is just gone crazy and I haven't cut things back. So I'm going to spend some time doing that, and I'm also going to spend some time cutting back my little hedge. And then I'm going to be doing some more housework. I hope you can hear me okay, because I don't have my mic on. But earlier you saw me using Patch Magic. What I've done is I've made my own. Because I have got another Patch Magic container, but unfortunately it's in my safe place. And I can't remember where the safe place is. So I've got some seed compost, which is very, very fine. And I've mixed it in with grass seed. Now I'm going to go around the edges of where I've just now sorted out and cleared up, because I want to build the grass up a little bit on the pathway. So let's see how it works. Now the only thing is, I think some of this seed is quite old, so we'll have to see what happens. So hopefully you heard me okay there. I know the sound wasn't great. But hopefully you heard that what I'm planning to do, or what I did, was that I took some normal grass seed and mixed it in with some compost, some seed compost, and then I shook it all up and I made my own Patch Magic. So that was what I was doing there. But as I said, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to have that much success, because I think the seed is quite old. I think I need to give it a few more days, because it has been very, very dry weather. But you can see I use a very large pot, and then I go round shaking it all round into the areas. I think it's quite a lot cheaper. I think it's a lot cheaper than Patch Magic, because Patch Magic's about £9.99 for one small container, and grass seed you can buy for about £2 for the seed, and then a whole massive great container of compost is a few pounds. So we'll have to see whether it's successful. If it isn't, then I'll do the same thing again, but I'll buy some new grass seed. So after I've done that, you'll then see that I do a little clip of what the bed looks like and the changes that I've made, and then I move on to cutting my hedge. Now this is the hedge between myself and the neighbour. This is the one that the neighbour cut the hedge so severely that it's fallen over because it's so top heavy. And what the neighbour doesn't understand is the hedge, the roots of the hedge and the whole of the hedge is in our garden. Obviously, if it keeps growing onto their wall, they want to cut it back, but they are dependent upon us having that in order to actually get down the side of their house. Because if there was a fence on the boundary, they wouldn't actually be able to get down by the side of their house. I was talking to my dad the other day about it, and he said, well, does it really matter? I said, no, it doesn't really matter, apart from they keep saying that they want to put a fence there. If they want to put a fence there, then I'm not going to have the fence put all in my garden. As the previous neighbour insisted, I want to put that on the boundary. Or if they want a fence in their garden, then obviously that's their prerogative. The other thing that I don't really want to do is in the front garden. I don't want to lose all the privets and have fence panels. Because more and more I find that people move into houses and the first thing they do is cut all the trees down, cut all the shrubs down, put plastic grass down, and fence panels. And I do understand that sometimes fence panels are what works. I've got fence panels in quite a few parts of my garden, but I don't think that they should replace a hedge which has regular birds nesting. So that's just kind of my general thoughts about that. But I use my little super cutter that my sister bought me. It's so good. I last used it, I'd say, about a year ago, and do you know the charge was still working in it? So, and it cuts through, not the really thick bits, but you can just use it one-handed, and it cuts really quickly and really easily. So I managed to get all of that done, and I fill the brown bin up. So I managed to do this just before the brown bin was emptied, and then you'll see I moved to the front garden. because the next door neighbour had said about it how it looked a bit messy. So I thought, yeah, that's fair enough. I'm trying to grow the new privets in the space, but some of the borage and other things had grown. So I decided that I'd do a bit of weeding and get ready to put the new privet in, which I don't think they're that keen on, but at the moment that's what my plan was before they moved in, and I'm going to continue doing that with the privet. I think privet is nice for nature, and I think when it eventually grows, which I know it does take a while, you have to be a bit patient, it will look really nice as well. I'm quite pleased because I've just moved away from where I was sitting. I was sitting just underneath the veranda. My husband's come out to do some more work on the new veranda that he's putting up, and as I've walked through the little walkway, the grass seed that I said didn't look like it was growing, it is. So I'm really pleased about that. It's not growing yet in the big patch where I use mostly the Patch Magic, so maybe that's because it's not got quite enough sunshine. I'm not sure. So you can see in the video I move along a bit, weeding that whole section, and once I've weeded the whole length of the stones, I'm then going to move some of the stones from over the other side in front of the window. They're too thick there, so I'm going to move them right over and spread some of the stones out. As some of you know, I had some new stones delivered probably about 5 months ago, and they're still really thick, which means it's quite a struggle for my little Fiat 500 sometimes to get out of our drive. The little Fiat 500 gets stuck in the stones. So I'm going to do that weeding, and then I'm going to rake some stones over. Also, another garden job that I want to do tomorrow, and if we don't do it tomorrow, then I won't be able to do it this year, is I want to make some lilac wine or lilac syrup. So I really think that tomorrow is the last day. The lilac has been absolutely beautiful in the garden, but it's now beginning to fade. So if I don't take up the chance now, it's going to be too late. So what jobs are you all doing in the garden, and how are you getting on? So I know that garden, depending upon where you are in the world, your garden will be doing different things. Some of you go into autumn and winter, and others of you, like me, are in the middle of spring. We're still well and truly in spring here, but some of the summer flowers are starting to get ready. But everything has just come alive. It's really nice. So what jobs are you all doing? I'm going to also spend some time on my middle bed, which is also overgrown. So I'm going to focus on my middle bed and one of my side beds and cut my little privet hedge. So they're my next jobs that I will be doing. In the back garden, in the front garden, I'm going to finish off weeding that section. So thank you very much for following me. If you're not already a subscriber, I would really appreciate you subscribing to my channel, because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm on about 700 at the moment on this channel, so that'd be really exciting if I could get to 1,000. And I also feel like, gardening, I really enjoy gardening. I don't enjoy housework. Housework on my other channel I have to force myself to do, and as many of you know, there is an uphill challenge with getting rid of things, getting tidier, cleaning, sorting. But I do like being out in my garden, so it'd be nice to have over 1,000 subscribers on this channel as well. So thank you very much for watching my channel. I hope you find it interesting and relaxing. While you're just watching me finish off weeding these beds and kind of just trimming back my privets, you'll then see a clip right at the very end where I show you how my greenhouse looks at the moment. And you'll see there's a big change from when I showed you last time. There's quite a few plants flowering, and my vines are doing really well. The cuttings that I took, if you remember the cuttings that I took a few videos ago, my beans have come up, my lupins are thriving, so you'll be able to have a little look in my greenhouse. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.